My name is Jemila MacEwan. I am a Scottish-born Australian immigrant artist who currently lives and works in New York City. I came to Fish Factory a month ago to work on a sculpture-based performance art project. All of my work is sculpture-based performance art predominantly. I do some sculpture on its own, but most of my projects lately have incorporated large-scale objects or actions in with either a video or live performance, but the way that manifests is different each time. For my time at Fish Factory, I really wanted to make a work that contemplated this state that we're in globally right now, where we're having to accept the eventual destruction of much of our environment by our own hands. A period of time that in my practice I refer to as coming to terms with the Holocene extinction. So in a previous work, I embodied what it would be like to be a meteorite hitting the planet. For this work, I have made these huge teeth that also act as glaciers. And I'm making a film with the teeth that starts out in the water. They'll be floating in the water and they'll look like glaciers. And then as I pull them out of the water, you'll see that they have these big roots, and the roots will be bloodied as though I really ripped the teeth out of the nerve of the water or the planet. So then there's a series of progressions. It's somewhat of a narrative film about me struggling with transporting these teeth. The teeth themselves I refer to as wisdom teeth, and I think about the loss of our glaciers as this loss of knowledge, because what is contained in those glaciers is the history, the planetary history of our air. And the history of our air is actually the history of all past extinctions, because if you look at all other periods of extinction, the thing that actually wipes out or causes a major extinction is this transformation of the air. So either through large volcanic traps, through a meteorite that hits the planet that completely overshadows the atmosphere. And then if we think about these moments that human beings have been involved in, it's really this story about the air. So I'm thinking about air as containing this, as the thing that actually contains the wisdom or the history of our planet. So the teeth are actually hollow, so they'll be kind of buoyant like buoys, but they'll also look, or buoys, but they'll also look like floating glaciers in the water, and you know, it's the air and the ice that makes it float. And then on top of that, my interest in the imagery of the teeth and the wisdom tooth in particular is that it is this ancestral relic that exists in our body that we have surgically removed. And so I'm thinking about these glaciers as also being somewhat like ancestral relics. So in this work, and then also in my previous work, Human Meteorite, and in a lot of my sculpture work that looks at like prehistoric fungus forms or volcanoes, really I am doing something that artists have done from the beginning of human history, which is to come to terms with things through a process of mythologizing. And my experience growing up in Australia was one where I was exposed a lot to the indigenous mythologies of that country called the Dreaming. And because I was introduced to these ideas at such a young age, I think I had a I was able to accept them without any form of skepticism. So I think that kind of an upbringing has allowed me to feel very fluid in my ability to build mythology into my experience of nature. And I also think that this, for me, is maybe the only space that I see any hope for us to come to terms with what it is that is happening to our planet. You know, the work is not so much about moralizing about that or trying to change it, because I think that I actually don't believe that we are going to be able to change the trajectory that we're heading in of mass extinction. I think we're in it, we're complicit to it, but I think that what I'm interested in is how we go through that. So what kind of suffering is inflicted or not inflicted in the process of going through this inevitable extinction. So, and what kind of state of being present in it or ignoring the reality of that or the truth of that or the importance of that we go through. So, yeah, I guess all of these works that I do, it's how to be an artist in the Holocene extinction and be the myth maker within that.